Hello everyone, hope you're doing good and welcome to a new weekly overview. First of all, I miss you guys because I haven't went live for 2 or 3 times, but starting from this month we'll be going once every month. So hopefully next month, same date, I will see you here all. As usual, let me share my screen and we'll get started with the Forex pairs, and then we'll be going over the remaining ones. So let me go for my window. Here we go. Okay, I guess you can see my screen now. Let me confirm it. Fantastic. And I'll keep my eye on the comments in case you have any questions or you'd like me to go over a specific pair or instrument. First of all, we'll be going over the Forex pairs. We've got a big list, the XY, Euro, USD, GBP, so basically the major ones, and then we'll be going over some exotics and some minor ones. Next, we'll be going over the indices and of course US oil, since someone requested it last time. And so the indices here, US 500, US 100, and so on. Last but not least, we'll be checking the crypto market. So after this session, you'll have an idea about the entire market. Of course, if you would like me to go over a stock, feel free to request it. I don't mind. You can apply the same strategies and trading style on almost every instrument. And if you are interested in a specific market, don't worry, just watch the entire one. You will get a practical feeling about how we analyze the charts. So let's do it. Okay, we've got GR30. Let's add it real quick before I forget it. Okay, I'll add it next to the indices, and okay, I'll add it next to US 30. And let me remove the watch list. So yes, first we'll start with the Forex pairs. I'll turn off my camera to focus on the chart, and later on, when I answer your questions, I'll turn it back on, okay? How do we do it? Let me see. Okay, I guess you can hear me now. Fantastic. Okay, but I can still see this little box on the left, so it's not looking good. But anyway, let's focus on the chart. Hello, hope you're doing good. Let's do it. Okay, I'll go over a couple of major pairs and then I'll check the comments again. So on the XY, you can clearly see that we previously broke above this resistance area. It has been acting as a resistance for a long period of time. We had a rejection from it previously, but then we broke it upward, right? Now we're approaching a strong supply zone. We can clearly see it. Okay, we have a question. Can you show us your favorite strategy? Yes, and indeed, as you can clearly see, I'm applying my strategy, which is obviously my favorite one. Okay, so you can now get a feeling about it from the video. So that's it. Now we are approaching the upper bound of the supply zone. It's a big one from monthly time frame. as we can see an aggressive movement down from it. So price is currently filling the supply. It's the first time, it's still a fresh one. Moreover, it's also a support and resistance price respected it previously. So of course, unless we have a break above it, then it would be filled. It would no longer be acting as a resistance area. In this case, a movement further upward would be expected till this low, or even till the 120, which is this high here. But let's take it step by step, right? Approaching or diving inside a supply zone, so we'll be expecting weakness on the XY. Of course, it wouldn't be like a full reversal, a long-term one. It would be just like maybe a correction, okay, and later on for the bear to take over, we need to see a break below the previous major low, because we can clearly see that we've got an impulse, a flat correction, an impulse, a small flat correction, impulse again, correction, and we are currently in this impulse phase. So we are expecting a correction. Of course, later on we'll be waiting for the bear to take over from a long-term perspective. If you zoom into daily time frame, we can see that we are also inside a bullish trend, inside this big bullish trend, right? So impulse correction, and so on. We are currently over both and approaching the upper area of this of the supply zone. Okay, approaching the upper band and the upper channel in red. That's it. So now we're expecting the bears to take over. Of course, we need extra confirmation from lower time frames that the bears are finally taking over. For now, the bulls are clearly in control. If you zoom in even lower to M30 time frame, you can see that we are currently trading inside this rising broadening wedge. Our first impulse, a correction, a small one, then a bigger impulse, a bigger correction, and we are currently in this big impulse movement. While waiting for the bear to take over from a short-term perspective, we'll be waiting, for example, for a previous low, major low to be broken downward, which is here around for now. So if this happens, then we'll be expecting the price to start the correction just like previously. And then from a medium-term perspective, we'll be waiting for this to happen and then a break below it. In this case, we'll be expecting a correction till the lower bound of this big channel and from daily time frame. Okay, so that's basically it. I always start with the DXY to know where we are in the market, to feel the overall market. Of course, vice versa, the exact opposite of it would be Euro USD. On Euro USD, if you go to monthly time frame, we are currently sitting around a massive demand zone and the psychological level 1. So like now €1 is worth $1, right? Which is truly a massive level. We've got this demand zone here, an aggressive movement upward from it, the exact opposite of the XY. If we trade lower and break it downward, the next support would be around these highs. Then last but not least, these lows here. Okay, so like around 0.84, and we've got this one around 0.95. Let's take it step by step. We are currently diving inside the support. We are clearly bearish. We can clearly see it. Lower lows, lower highs, right? And we are currently in this impulse movement, speculating a correction. Of course, we can't see, that would have a full reversal just yet. The exact opposite of the XY, if you would like. And I posted this one on TradingView yesterday. If you can see it, here we go. Okay, so it's approaching a massive zone, the intersection of multiple rejections, the lower trend line, which is this falling broadening wedge, impulse correction, impulse, and we are currently here approaching the lower bound. We previously saw many rejections from it, so it's acting as a non-horizontal support, or what I consider an oversold area. Moreover, we've got this trend line here, which is engulfing the latest price action. Like channels and trend lines help us feel the overall market, or like on how overextended the price is, on where to expect the next impulse to end, and so on. So it's only to feel the market to know where we are. Okay, so we don't trade it. We zoom into lower time frames and look for basket ups around these rejection areas. So this one round number is a very strong area to look for a buy. Of course, this entire zone, that's the intersection of the lower orange trend line, lower blue trend line, and the one. Of course, it's an entire zone which we saw from weekly and monthly. This massive, or this, sorry, this big demand zone, right? So because we had this entire consolidation before we had this aggressive movement upward, it's basically a rally, a base, and then a rally again. Okay. Anyway, what we are currently looking for buy setups, we are currently obviously overall bearish, making lower highs and lower lows. So as long as we don't have a break above the last major high, we would be bearish. Of course, the last high is now here, so we'll be waiting for a new swing high, for example, to form to consider it our last high. So that we'll be looking for a buy around the one. Okay. So this is what I'm looking for. We also got a channel here from M30 time frame. So like it might be a possible scenario to have this like a new swing high, because this is what we're waiting for, as I showed you from H1, and then we'll be buying on spike upward. For now, we are bearish. We are approaching a support. We are looking for buy setups. We will not buy blindly, waiting for the boost to kick in, and then we'll be entering the buy. Next, we got GBP USD. We previously broke below the support zone, which we saw here. We broke below it, retested it, and that's a classic retest of the previous resistance, the exact same scenario we saw here, and the exact same scenario also that we saw here. Okay, broke below a support, now a resistance, retested it and we traded lower, broke below the lower support, retested it and traded lower. It's also lining up with the previous low, the exact same thing we saw here, previous low, and so on. Okay, so now we are trading lower, we are bearish. The next support area where we'll be looking for buy setups would be around this, around 1.17. If you go to weekly time frame, we can see it here, an aggressive movement upward from it. But like the reason why I have it on 1.17 is because if you zoom into daily time frame, we can see the exact range that what we had, or that the price took off from. Okay, and the upper bound of the range is clearly around 1.17, which you can see here. This is the range where we had the aggressive movement. So it's actually a demand zone, a big one, which is this one. Okay, so now price is approaching the first or the upper bound of it. That's why we'll be start to look for buy setups around this area, knowing that we can still dive inside it a little bit before we trade higher. If you zoom into H4 time frame, I can't really add much except that we are trading inside a big wedge pattern now. We were looking for sell setups here because it was the intersection of the upper trend line and this support, now a resistance. And for now, of course, if we trade lower, it would also be the intersection with the lower trend line, forming this wedge pattern here. Okay, and also lining up with the 1.17, the upper bound of the demand zone. So long story short, I'll be waiting for GBP/USD to approach this area to look for buy setups, okay, and vice versa. As we retest this resistance, we'll be looking for a sell. Moreover, if you zoom into H1, we got this channel here. So one of the possible scenarios would be if we extend this one like this and this one like this. So we are currently bearish, making lower lows and lower highs, trading inside this channel. So if we trade lower from here, we'll be looking for a buy. It will also be lining up with the lower trend lines, orange, red, and 1.17. So like as we clearly see that the trend lines are helping us like to know, or like if you want to make the zone smaller, to know where to look for buy stops inside this big zone, right? So we want to make our point of interest smaller, right? So that's basically it. Of course, from a medium-term perspective, for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above both the previous major high, which hasn't formed yet, and the upper trend line in red, because this trend line now, or this channel now, is engulfing or showing us the overall flow, which is clearly bearish. Impulse correction, looking for a buy, which would be a correction, and then we'll be waiting for this, for the buyers to take over. In this case, we'll be looking for a buy on the retest, and obviously as we retest, let me extend this one again. Obviously, as we retest this upper area here, we'll be looking for a trend following sell, which is, here we go, we can clearly see it. We are overall bearish, we have a resistance here, and so on. So that's basically it for GBP USD. I don't really have much to add except that we are waiting for this intersection here, price to approach it, to look for a buy, or if we trade higher from here, I'll be looking for a sell on the resistance retest. We can clearly see like a very similar scenario on like the forex pairs like AUD and NZD. So I'll go over them quickly before we go over USD JPY and USD CAD. Let me check the comments real quick before we move forward. Okay, fantastic. Let's do it. Okay, and as usual, cheers. So on weekly time frame, we can see that we've got a demand zone, right? We had an aggressive movement up. For me, it's actually a big demand because it's a big consolidation. So yeah, we might still trade lower to test the lower band of it before we trade higher. That's why we don't buy blindly, no matter how strong a support or a demand or like any rejection. We don't buy blindly. We always wait for extra confirmation that the bears are finally taking over to look for buy setups. We can clearly see it here. If you zoom out a little bit, we can see multiple rejections from it previously. We've got this acting as a resistance, broken upward, turned to a support, and also acted as support here. And price is currently retesting this area. Also, again, a support here. Then price broke it downward, like resistance, broken upward again. So now here we go, around this area. Okay, of course, if broken downward, then a movement here would be expected, where we'll be looking for buy setups. But let's take it step by step. Here we go. We are currently overall bearish. And like if you remember, we were looking for sell setups here previously after breaking below this support zone, now acting as a resistance. It was also a supply zone as we had an aggressive movement down from it. Anyway, let's focus on the current price action. We were looking we were looking for buy stops here, for those who follow me on TradingView, know that starting from here, I was looking for a buy. I had this channel and I was waiting for a break above it, which obviously didn't happen. So that's the power of waiting for extra confirmation. The buyers are taking over. I had this zone right here. I was waiting for this to happen and a break above these highs, which obviously didn't happen. So we are still bearish trading inside this channel, and we are waiting for the bulls to take over by breaking above it. Now we have a channel inside the channel. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I'm still waiting for the bulls to take over as long as we are still around the support. As long as we don't break it downward, I'm still looking for a buy. If we break it downward, then obviously on the retest of it, we'll be looking for a sell. The exact same thing which happened around this area. I was looking for a buy, didn't happen. Broken downward on the retest of it, I looked for a sell, and this is basically it. Okay, and of course we looked for a buy here around the support area. Anyway, for now, this is our last major high, which is lining up with 0.62. So if you want, I can highlight it like this. Here we go. Or if we form a new swing high here, then we'll update our last major high. So it would be here. Okay, so for now, this is it. For the bulls to take over, we need to see this break. The exact same thing we can clearly see on AUD USD. If you zoom out to weekly time frame, we are currently approaching this support area. We can clearly see it, support multiple times, right? Broken upward again, so broken downward, broken upward again, and then price rejected it and traded higher. So which is basically it. Of course, unless we break it downward, then it will become a resistance and so on. Okay, so that's basically it. We are overall bearish trading inside like this channel. We are currently around the lower bound, so we are looking for buy setups unless we break it downward. If you zoom into daily time frame, this is it. This is our first impulse, a correction, and we are currently in the second impulse. Yeah, we can still trade lower like this till the lower band, the next support, and so on. Here we go. This is how the channels will help us feel where we are in the market. So yeah, we can still break it downward. In this case, we'll be looking for a trend following sell. And in this case, as we approach the lower trend line, which is also the intersecting with 0.65, which is a massive demand zone from weekly and monthly, we'll be looking for a buy here. But for now, we can still reject this area to test this trend line before we go lower or even break it upward. So let's take it step by step. If you go to H4 time frame, we have the exact same channel we saw on NZD USD, right? So which is basically it. For now, this is our last high. And just like NZUSD, I'm waiting for a new swing high to form to consider it our new last high, and then buy on this big upward. So this is what I'm waiting for, like this, and then a break above it. In this case, the bulls would take over here. Of course, you know, the buy would be here, the stop loss would be the below previous low, and we will target this resistance right there. And if you trade higher from here, this would be a massive resistance intersecting with the supply, this resistance from daily and weekly, and this upper trend line in orange. Let's move forward. We've got USD JPY. On USD JPY, we currently broke above this supply zone. So this supply is no longer acting as a rejection. Now we are trading higher. The next supply would be around this area. Of course, if you zoom lower, we can know that it's an entire zone. Where is it? Let me show you. Here we go. Okay, so like this is our next supply zone if we if we keep on trading higher, and we are currently still bullish. Especially if you zoom into daily time frame, we can see that this is our last major low. So to have a big or like long-term bearish reversal, we need to see a break below it, and you can see it better from lower time frames. From H4, you will see this channel now that we are overall bullish, and for the bears to take over, we need to see this. Okay, for now we are obviously bullish. Here we go. This is the one that I showed you. So for the bears to take over and to expect a big bearish reversal, we need to see a movement lower like this, a high, and then a break below this -1 resistance, and also below the channel, which is showing us now the overall flow. Okay, so but now we're expecting a correction, all right? So we'll be looking for a sell setup. So now, since we are approaching the upper area, which is like the upper the bound of the channel, which I consider an overbought area, we'll be looking for a short-term sell. Okay. If you zoom in lower, we can see that we also got this channel here engulfing this overall like rising flat, if you want, rising flat range, and we are currently around the upper bound. So we are following the same logic which happened here. So we traded higher, the bears took over, right? Traded lower. Bears took over. Here we go. By breaking this, we traded lower. So now we are following the same logic, and we are waiting for the bears to take over by breaking below this. In this case, we'll be expecting a bearish movement like this. Okay, so the exact same logic we followed here, and that's it. Okay, now of course I'll delete this one because I want to update it from lower time frames. If you zoom into M30, this is it. Okay, so like we've got this minor low here, which we saw from what I showed you from H1, and this is our last major low now. So I'm personally, as you can see, my alerts here, I'm waiting for a break below like this one, which is the last major low, and in this case we'll be entering the sell. Of course, when the sell is activated, the stop loss would be above the previous high, and we will target a 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio, which would be around like this lower bound. Okay, that's it for USD JPY. Like this is our last USD pair, and next we will go over gold. Let me check the comments real quick. If you have any questions, let me know. Rod, I'm happy to see you here. Hope you're doing good. John, you are more than welcome. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Like, let's move forward. Okay, so like what I'll do is I'll go over USD CAD and gold, and then I'll check the comments if you have any questions, and then we'll go over the remaining ones. If you want me to go over a specific like Forex pair, since now we're going over Forex, let me know in the comments, okay? Because like now we're going over Forex pairs, and then we'll go over indices. So if you have any Forex pair that you want me to go over, let me know now, please. So that's it. Cheers. So on USD CAD, we are obviously trading inside this rising channel. We've got the upper bound, which is here. So we are still expecting this bearish movement. Of course, unless we break this area here with a big, massive candle, okay, from daily and weekly, then it will no longer be acting as a resistance. Instead, it would become a support and we'll be looking for this. But for now, okay, this is a massive resistance zone. We can clearly see it previously. We've got multiple rejections from it. Then finally price broke it downward, now acting as a resistance again, and again. Okay. So I think this is why this zone is a strong one. And also we've got the round number 3. Okay, so like the strongest round numbers here are 1.12, 1.3, 1.4, and 1.5 up there. Okay, so like these are the strongest round numbers, and like we are currently approaching one of these round numbers, which is the 1.3. If you zoom into daily time frame, this is it. Okay, we've got a supply here that price previously filled, and we are currently retesting this area. It's basically, sorry about that, it's basically still a resistance area. So we are still looking for a sell setup. And if you go lower and lower, we can see that we previously had this low broken downward, our impulse, a retest to it, and next impulse, and we are currently retesting this area, which is still acting as a resistance zone. I'm expecting a movement till this demand zone here, where we're obviously looking for buy setups. Okay, so that's basically it. We'll be looking for a sell setup. Of course, we can still trade a little bit higher to fill this area here before we trade lower, but we are looking for sell setups anyway. Of course, as mentioned, from daily and weekly, unless we have this aggressive movement, a big daily or weekly candle breaking above this high, then this resistance will be broken and we'll be looking for this. But now I'm looking for a sell. You zoom in lower to H1 time frame. We are currently forming a channel, so it was an impulse. Currently inside the correction, waiting for the bears to take over again to catch the next impulse movement downward till this area as mentioned from H1. So that's basically it. Let me extend this one. So yeah, for now I'm waiting for a new swing low to form around the lower around the lower trend line here. In this case, we'll be selling on spike downward. Of course, when the sell is activated, here we go, short, stop loss, and the 1 to 2 reward, which would be around this demand here, where we'll be looking for buy setups. So for now in USD CAD, I'm still waiting for the bears to take over. Meanwhile, yes, we are bullish. We can still trade higher and higher and break above this high and so on. Okay, but for now we are looking for a sell. On gold, fantastic, right? So on gold, like for those who watched my previous episode, like we were looking for a sell setup here because we were expecting one last impulse movement downward, because we had our impulse, a correction, an impulse, a correction, and we were here, right? We're expecting the third impulse movement downward till around the 1750. Okay, so which is basically it. We traded low from here and even broke below the support, and like in fact this is a strong support. If we check it out previously, we had a resistance from it, support here, support again, and like here we had a fake out, and here as well, and then we had a support again, and price broke it down, right? So now the possible scenarios are it might be a fake out just like this, right? And then we'll want an aggressive movement upward, breaking back above it. In this case, the bulls would reclaim the support, just the exact thing that happened here. Okay, or like it would be a break just like this one. In this case, on this retest, we'll be looking for this, and obviously as we approach the next support, which is here, we'll be looking for a buy, and then we'll be looking for a sell, and then finally break above this for a big long-term bullish movement. Okay, so like this is my trading plan for now on gold. And if you want in brief, I'm waiting for this area to look for a buy, and then we'll be expecting this swing to happen, rejecting this resistance, and then finally a break above it to finally say that now we have a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish after breaking above this channel, which is engulfing the overall movement downwards. But for now, okay, the bulls might still kick in, rejecting this area here, right? In this case, we'll need to see an aggressive movement upward, and we'll be looking for a buy on the retest. Okay, Here we go. If you zoom into H4 time frame, we will need to see a break above this high, which would also be a break upward. Meanwhile, and until this happens, we are bearish, and the movement till the lower bound would be expected, which is around 1700, which is why you see my alert here. So I want to know when gold approaches this area. Here we go. Okay, so this is the high that I showed you. Let me make it appear on H4 as well. So we need a break above it, and not only above this high, but also above this area, the entire area. Meanwhile, we are bearish, where we can still make low lows and lower highs, and sorry. Okay, and like this is where we'll be looking for buy setups. Okay, so that's it for gold. Let me check the comments real quick before we move forward. Okay, do you spot supply and demand first, or you check the market trend? Well, yes. Like I always start from daily and weekly time frames, like to know where we are, if you are bearish or bullish, and also like once we know where we are, I try to find rejection areas. Okay, so in this case, I'll be looking for supply and resistance, supply and demand. But yes, right. First, I want to know if you are bearish or bullish. Okay, so like. Okay, so like you guys are talking in a language I don't understand. So like D and Nel. So please, if you can ask questions in English, I would appreciate it. Okay, D and Nel. Hello Patrick, hope you're doing good. So he is asking buy euro now. Yes, we're approaching round number one, which I which I started at the start. So if you haven't watched it, don't worry. When the session ends, you know what? Let me turn on my camera. I don't know because like now I'm answering questions. Let me see how. Give me a minute. Okay, I'm not. Yeah, this is it. Fantastic. Okay, so Patrick, we buy euro now. We're approaching a one psychological level, which is a strong support lining up with this lower trend line. So we are looking for buy setups. We don't buy blindly. We can still dive inside this demand like till around 0.95 before we trade higher. Okay, so we are looking. We don't buy blindly. If you haven't watched it, like you can watch the recording when we are done. Can you go over GPUSD again? I'm seeing short term down. Yes, exactly. For a big spike to the upside. What do you think? Yes, Rod. Let me go over it real quick. Here we go. So yeah, we're expecting further movement downward till around this demand zone, which we saw from daily time frame. That's it, right? So like this is the entire range. The upper one is 1.17. Okay, so like this is basically our support and resistance now. Since we are in the middle of nowhere, I'm personally staying out from GPUSD. As we approach this resistance, I'll be looking for a trend following sell. As we approach this support, I'll be looking for a buy. Or if we break above this high here, which is also this low, which is also a resistance, I'll be looking for buy stops on the retest. Okay, this is my plan for GPUSD. For now, for me, it's in blue, so which means that I'm in the middle of nowhere and I'm not looking for setups now. Okay. Good morning, Aaron. Hope you're doing good. You're more than welcome. Tough, sure, we'll go over the indices just after the Forex pairs. Let me show you the watch list so you can know what to expect. So this is it. So now we're done gold. We'll go over like a couple of ones, and then we'll go going over US 500, US 100, and so on. Okay. Aaron, I'm bearish on US 500 as long as we stay below 392. Yes, exactly. I have the same point of view. We'll see it better when we go over it. Mugomos, live from Kenya. I've learned a lot from this channel and now incorporating the details more to my strategy. Fantastic. I'm glad that you are enjoying your stay here in Trading Nut. And of course, like I want to take this opportunity to thank Cam and Trading Nut channel for this opportunity. I'm happy to be among you guys. Of course, if you like the content, like this video. It will help it reach more traders, and also it will help Trading Nut channel. So You're more than welcome, Rod. Let's move forward, right? So we've got like 4 more Forex pairs. Let me know if you want me to go over one more before we go over the indices, okay? Let's do it. I'll turn off my camera again. Okay, I'm not really, yeah. Yes, Shori Shab, you can see it here. CAD JPY is just below Euro CHF. Okay, Euro CHF, we're approaching a massive support zone now. If you go back to monthly time frame, like this is where we had in 2015. If you remember, we had this aggressive movement downward. It was a supply. We had a retest to it, rejected it, and we traded lower. Now we're approaching this aggressive movement downward, which is this lowest point, which is also the all-time high. As you can see, this is the highest point. So yeah, it's a massive demand zone. Of course, we'll be looking for buy setups here. Basically, you are bearish. You can see it from monthly, and you can see it also from weekly time frame. Lower highs, here we go, and low lows. So we are basically bearish from a long-term perspective, and we are even trading inside this big channel. So to finally say that we are now bullish, or like the buyers are taking over from a long-term perspective, we need to see this and then a break above it. In this case, would have a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish, but for now we are obviously bearish. We had this impulse, a correction, impulse, and now we're expecting this correction before the last impulse movement happened, which might result in a higher low and then a break above the high. In this case, we'll be expecting this movement. For now, let's take it step by step. We are looking for this correction, right? So we'll be zooming into lower time frames to look for buy setups. From daily time frame, this is our last major high. If you go further lower, we've got the round number 1. So yeah, I was personally looking for a buy here for those who watch me on TradingView. Here we go. So I was looking for those who saw the setup. I was waiting for this. We had a channel who was waiting for this, a new low which happened here, and then a break above it, which didn't happen. Okay, so now we kept on moving lower. Let me re-add this channel again. But that's it. So now we are forming. Okay, sorry about that. Now we are forming a channel or a wedge pattern inside a bigger channel, as you can see. So I want to break above both the previous high, which is here, the trend line which would be already broken if we break above this high, but also above this one here, right? And we've got the round number 1. So like we've got many rejections here for the buyers to prove to us that they are strong enough to take over. Okay, so I would like to see this break. Okay, and in this case you can answer your buy here, or you can simply wait for a retest and look for a buy. Okay, so that's basically it on Euro CHF. But we are currently approaching, as you clearly see, the low bound of this trend line, and also like the all-time low, which is around 0.97. So yeah, we can still trade a little bit lower before we trade higher. That's why we will not buy immediately now. We'll be waiting for the bulls to take over. Now on CAD JPY. Okay, let me take a break and a sip. Okay, since I'm taking a break, I'll check the comments real quick. Okay, I'm going CAD JPY now. Rod, I've been following you on TradingView forever, and just realized that you can keep up the great work. Fantastic, Rod. I'm happy that you are happy. Okay, Sean, Euro GBP and Euro AD. Okay, okay. Now the list is getting bigger, but like I can't say no. But I will try to go over them real quick, right? So Euro GBP and Euro AUD. Okay, let me add them to the top because like we've got a big list, as you can see. So I'll try to be as quick as possible. That's it. and EuroCAD. Here we go. We got the euros here. So like I'm trying to go over this one, and this would be it before we go over the indices. Now let's focus on CAD JPY. We can see that we've got a massive resistance, right? A resistance, broken upward, support, broken downward, resistance, again and again. Okay, so now we are currently sitting around this resistance. That's why we'll be speculating this bearish movement. If we trade lower, the next rejection would be the 100, which is a massive round number, and also a support, resistance, and support. So now it's acting as a support area. Okay, but let's take it step by step. Now we are here looking for a sell unless we break it upward, just like here. Okay, we broke it upward, we traded higher, and then this zone became what? A support. Okay, so this is the exact same thing. We might have a rejection or we might have a break. That's why we don't sell blindly. Now we're expecting this rejection until eventually if we will have this break, which would be the scenario: bullish movement, correction, and a retest. Now, if you go to weekly time frame, we can see we can see that the bears are pushing hard here, but the bulls are still in control. Of course, from a long-term perspective, for the bears to take over, we need to see a break below this low. Okay, but now we are looking for a sell, and that's basically it. Let me zoom back in, lower and lower. This is it. Okay, so now on CAD JPY we are currently trading here. You also posted this one on trading view that we are waiting for it to approach this supply zone and to look for a sell setup. So now we've got this low here, which we can clearly see that we are also breaking below this low. Okay, which we also have this low here. Okay, but we've got this trend line here, okay, which is showing us the overall bullish movement from a short-term perspective, and we can clearly see how clean CAD JPY is. The bulls took over here, price made higher highs and higher lows, and the bears took over here, traded lower, and the bulls took over here, traded higher, and then the bulls took over here. So now we are waiting for the bears to take over, which would be a break below this low. And also, let me go for this low for now, and we might still have this movement for price to form a third swing around the trend line before we break it downward. So yeah, basically I'm looking for this and then a break below this area. Okay, let me add this one, and because it was orange, let me add it in red. So let's move forward. Like for now, let's get faster because we've got like 3 euro pairs. I guess after, yeah, we've got these 3 pairs, so I'll go over them quickly. On NZD CAD, we are currently approaching a massive support zone. Here we go. A resistance, support, again and again. Okay, we are currently here looking for a buy. Unless we break it downward, then a movement till the next support would be expected. And yeah, let's go to weekly. Here we go. We've got this channel showing us the overall movement, correction, impulse, and we are currently here expecting a correction movement. In this case, of course, if we trade higher, we'll be looking for a sell here, just like we did right here. Okay, for now, let's take it step by step around the support, looking for this buy. Obviously, you can see it from daily. This is our last high, which is why you see my alert here. Okay, around this area. Here we go. Okay, so for the bulls to take over, we need to see this break and like this. From lower time frames, from H4, we are also overall bearish, impulse, correction, impulse, and we're expecting this correction movement. And like this is the same high that we saw from the daily time frame. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. So I'm waiting for this break above this high, which I previously showed you multiple times. Now, from a shorter term perspective, since we are around the lower bound, we can also look for a buy setup inside this zone. We are bearish here. Bears took over from a short-term perspective, lower lows and lower highs. So I'm waiting for the bulls to take over here from a short-term perspective. Of course, we've got this high here, but I'll be waiting for this like a new swing high to form here, and then a break above it like this for the bulls to take over from a short-term perspective, and then I'll be waiting for this zone here. Okay. Meanwhile, of course, would be bearish, and we can still trade a little bit lower like this till the lower bound, lower area before the buyers take over. Okay. Now let's go over these ones real quick. Euro CAD, Euro AED, and Euro what? Euro GBP. Euro CAD, we've got this massive support zone. We can see it. I don't know why the lower bound is not here. Let me make it appear real quick. And here we go. Okay, so on monthly time frame, look at this zone, aggressive movements upward from this area, right? So of course we'll be looking for a buy. We'll be expecting the bulls to kick in here for at least a correction till the next area here, which is also a supply zone. Okay, so like for those who remember previously, we were trading this range, right? So we were looking for a sell, a buy, a sell, right? Until eventually it's broken up or downward, price broke it downward. Okay, so broke the channel downward, a classic retest, and we traded lower. We are currently inside the support, so we'll be looking for buy setups. Here we go. We can see it better from lower time frames. That's it. Okay, and we've also got a shorter term one, but like this trend line is very steep. I don't like when we got a very steep trend line, so I'm sticking to the upper one, which is like forming a falling broadening wedge, an impulse, a correction, an impulse, and we're expecting a correction, but right, we're around a massive support zone looking for buy setups. So from a medium term perspective, I prefer to see this, a new swing high here, and then a break above this high. Okay, and in this case, I'll be buying a Euro CAD and expect a movement higher. On Euro AD, okay, let me take a little break and check your questions. Turn on my camera. And first day here, sir, learning a lot. I'm happy to hear that. Delta Forex. Aaron, Euro AD trend bias is sell. Thanks for highlighting this. You're more than welcome. Let's check it out. Turn off. You know what? I'll keep my camera on for now because like I keep on turning it on and off, turning it on and off. Yeah, exactly. So on Euro AUD, let me zoom in. Here we go. So we previously were retesting this resistance. We were looking for some setups. It was actually a massive support. Here we go. Multiple rejections from it. Broken down with a massive candle. Rejected it once, twice, and here we go. We're looking for the sell. Of course, vice versa. As we approach the support area here, which we can see around 1.43, around this area, we'll be looking for a buy. So that's basically it for Euro AUD. Meanwhile, we are currently overall bullish, right? From of course from daily time frame, but from a big or long-term perspective, we are clearly bearish, right? And we saw it from weekly time frame. This is the channel engulfing the overall movement down. So to have finally a shift in momentum that we are now bullish, we need to see this, right? A break above this entire channel. For now, let's take it step by step. If you zoom into daily, as I showed you, we are currently here. We have our higher lows, higher highs, right? So that's it. And we are currently around this area. So we'll be expecting this bullish movement because we got our impulse, correction, and so on. Okay, so expecting this, of course, unless we break below the previous low, which you can clearly see here. If we break below it, then further movement low would be expected till the next support, which we saw from weekly time frame. For now, let's take it step by step. Like now we broke below this support and the minor support and resistance, but we still need a confirmation that the buyers are taking over by breaking below this. Of course, the bears took over from a short-term perspective by breaking below this low, which we can see better from H4. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's basically it. I'm waiting for what is it? Here we go. Okay, so like now this is our last major high. If you want to make it a little bit higher like this. Here we go. So I'm waiting for this zone break upward. Of course, the boost took over here from a short-term perspective, but it was inside this area. So I'm still waiting for this. It would be like the shape of an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Last but not least, we've got Euro GBP, the exact same analysis we saw on Euro AUD. As you can see, I have my alerts right here. And Emmanuel, I'm happy to see you there. Hope you like the content. Thank you, Emmanuel. Okay, so on Euro GBP, if you go to weekly time frame, you can see a massive support area here. You can see it better from daily time frame. Support multiple times, broken downward, resistance multiple times, broken upward, now support. Okay, so we're expecting this, unless of course we break it downward, then a movement further lower would be expected, just like this one. Okay, delete it, and this would be our next support area, which we can clearly see here. So support multiple times from this area, but let's take it step by step. For now, we are still around this support, so we are looking for a buy. If you zoom into daily time frame, I don't know why I didn't, this is annoying. Let's delete it. Okay, so from daily time frame, we are looking for a buy here, unless we break it downward. Then the next support would be here, which is also a demand, which is still fresh. And we've got this low here. So by breaking below the support, we'll also break below this low. In this case, a movement further lower would be expected. So we'll be looking for a sell here. So if we have this break, I'll delete this. I'll put this one here. Okay. But for now, I'm still looking for a buy. And of course, meanwhile, and until the buy is activated, we can still trade lower and break the support downward. And we can clearly see that we've got this high here, which we can see from H4 and also from H1. Where is it? Let me make it appear on H4. Okay, and here is the view from M30 time frame. The lower trend line now is broken. That's deleted. Anyway, we've got this trend line here. Here we go. So I'm still waiting for a break above this major high. Of course, it will also be a break above the this trend line, which is for now showing us the overall movement, an impulse, a correction, an impulse, and we are currently here. We might have a flat correction before we finally break it downward. In this case, we'll be looking for a buy, but for now, I'm waiting for this break above this area to go long, and this is my alert. This is why it's in red. So that's basically it for the forex pairs. Like we've got like 52 minutes just for the forex pairs today. So I'll try to make it quick for the indices and for crypto. Here we go. I'm turning on my camera again. Scott, glad you are enjoying it. Cheers. Emmanuel, a sell on Euro GBP. I was hoping you show us potential zones we can sell. Okay, fantastic. So we are still here on Euro GBP. On Euro, on Euro GBP. So for now, you could have looked for a sell around the resistance area, which we can see here, right? Which is also a supply and so on. For now, the odds are not in your favor to look for a sell. Okay. If we trade higher from here, that's the support and resistance, like a minor high and low. In this case, we'll be looking for a sell, which you can see better from H4. So around this area, that's why you see this arrow here. I'm looking for a sell. If we trade higher, we also got a supply, a minor supply around this area. But for now, you don't have like an edge over the market looking for a sell, because like after all, this is our main job as traders. Okay, we can't really know what might happen next. Okay, the market can go anywhere. That's why we try to find areas to put the odds in our favor. And for now, we only look for a buy around the support and sell around the resistance. So as long as we are here, I'm obviously not looking for a sell around the support unless it's broken downward. In this case, on the 3 task, I'll be looking for a sell. Okay, or if we trade higher, break this one upward, the bulls take over, we trade higher, we'll be looking for a sell here. Okay, that's it. Now let's move forward to our our indices. Yeah, before we go over the indices, let's go over US oil, since last time someone requested this one. But like for those who remember, we're looking for a sell setup here. Like from monthly time frame, we've got this resistance area, this high, which we can clearly see multiple rejections from it, and we are currently here. We broke above this supply and resistance, so as we retest this area, we'll be obviously looking for a trend following buy. It's also a demand and so on. For now, we're expecting a bearish movement from here. Of course, if we break above this high, then a movement further upward will be expected till this area. Now if you go to weekly time frame, I can't really add much. If you go to H4, this is basically it. We're waiting for this to happen, a new swing low to form here, and a break below it. It happened, but this was the low right here. Okay, so this is it for US oil. Okay, that's it. We had a wedge pattern broken downward, and we were around the upper band of this channel red, showing us the overall like flow or overall movement of where we are in the market. We also had this supply here, so price filled the supply, which we can clearly see. That's it. Okay, we tested the supply, formed a wedge pattern, broke below the previous low. The entry could have been here after this momentum candle close below it, stop loss here, and the 1 to 2 risk reward ratio to have an edge over the market from a risk management perspective. So that's basically it for US oil. Then this was from weekly. Now, as mentioned previously, as we approach this support zone here, we'll be looking for a buy, which is also a demand zone, or if we retest this area, we'll be looking for a sell setup here. Okay, that's it for US oil. On US 500, if you remember last time, let me remove this one to keep it clean. That's it. Okay, on US 500, if you remember last time, we broke below this previous low, retested it, we were looking for a sell setup, right? So it is just a very straightforward one. Low, broken downward, retest, rejection. Low, broken downward, retest, rejection. Low, broken downward, retest, looking for rejection. Okay, now we've got this next support, which is obviously here at demand zone. If we trade lower like this for the next impulse movement, then a movement lower till this like previous all-time high of 2020 here, which is also lining up with this demand zone aggressive movement upward from here. Okay, but first we will need a break below this area. So yeah, I guess someone mentioned that we are bearish until we break above. Where is it? Let me scroll back. Okay, I'm not really sure. Give me a minute to check the comments. Yeah, this is it. I'm bearish on US 500 as long as we stay below 3902 20. And yeah, we are bearish, and like in my opinion, I would like to also see a break above the 4K. Okay, here we go. So as long as we stay above 3920, which is basically here, which is the last high lining up with the last low, here we go. Okay, we would be bearish, exactly. And as we retested this area, we're looking for sell setups. Here we go, just like previously. And that's it. We take it higher. This is it. Okay, so we broke below this previous low just like previously, and we are trading lower. So now we are bearish, and as we approach this support again, support and demand zone, which I showed you from weekly time frame, we'll be looking for a buy. Okay, and yeah, exactly, I have my alert here at like 3948, which would be a break above this, which would be a signal that the buyers are taking over. Of course, I would like to see also a break above the 4K for extra confirmation. Okay, Scott, I mute your channel and I'm loving it. Please, how often is your live trading sessions? I don't want to miss it. Yeah, I'm going live here on trading not like once a month. So like hopefully like next month around this period, I'm going also live. Okay, I'm happy that you are enjoying it. Okay, let's move forward on US 500. As mentioned, you are currently rejecting this high here and you are trading lower. This would be the next support area where we'll be looking. Of course, if we break it downwards, then a movement further low would be expected till here we go. That's why I also have my alerts around 3.4k. If we break it downward, then a movement here would be expected where we're obviously looking for a buy. Okay, so like if you want, long story short, for US 500, I'll be waiting for this movement here, and then we'll be looking for a reversal, which would be the price trading inside this channel. Okay, so impulse correction. We might see this before the next impulse. A correction would be here, form a new high, and then finally break it upward. For what? For the correction to start. Okay, which would be this correction here. Okay, before we might also see one more bearish movement like this. Okay, before we finally break above this high to finally say that yeah, now the massive bullish trend is going to resume. So like that, this would be a massive correction phase, like a big impulse movement, a massive correction before the next big impulse movement start. Okay, anyway, let's take it step by step. We are currently here. Let's see how it goes. We might even break above this now, okay, and start the correction from here. In this case, a movement further low will be expected from this area, which is the upper bound of this falling broadening wedge, just like here. Impulse correction failed to make a low, instead made a higher low, broke above this, correction started. So if here we see this failing to make a low, instead make a higher low, and a break until this happens, this is what I'm looking for. Next, let's move forward to US 100, sorry, to US 100, which you can see, like I'm going to go over quickly US 130 because like you can see that, which is a very similar scenario, just like the one we saw on US 100. So a demand zone here, also looking for a buy. If broken downward, then a movement lower to the previous all-time high of 2020, and this zone would be expected, which would also be a massive 10k round number. Okay, so that's it. On daily time frame, here we go, rejecting this high. This is the exact same case we saw on US 500. Now we're expecting this, where we'll be looking for a buy, unless broken downward, then a movement here would be expected, which would be also the lower bound of the orange channel. Let me extend this one, and that's it. So we might still see this before we trade higher. For now, we are bearish, and the bears took over by breaking below this low. So that's it. Bulls took over, bears took over, bulls took over, and now the bears took over. Okay, so this is basically it. Upward, downward. We are currently expecting a movement around this area. Next, US 30, the very similar movement. Bulls took over. Here we go. Bears took over, and then the bulls took over. We had a massive movement downward from here. We traded higher. We rejected this area. Traded higher. The bears took over right here. Okay. Anyway, let's go back to weekly. On weekly time frame, like for US 30, we are currently around the 30k round number, and also currently around this previous all-time high. While on US 500 and US 100, we haven't really reached the previous all-time high yet, right? So this is it. We are still here. The previous all-time high 2020 is here. While on US 30, as I showed you, we already reached this one here, which is also a massive like round number. The strongest round numbers inside this big chart are 30K and the 20K. Of course, 25, 35, and so on, but the strongest ones are the 30K and 20K. So now we're approaching this area and we are looking for a buy. We are obviously overall bearish, and we have this rising broad, falling broadening west. Sorry, inside it we've got a bearish channel. So we are in a bearish trend inside a bearish trend. We have this previous high here, low broken downwards. That's it. Okay. So now we're expecting a movement till around this area. If we break above this, like which would also be like US 500 break above the 3920, will also be US 100 breaking above the previous high. In this case, a movement further upward would be expected till around the upper bound from now. Meanwhile, we are bearish. As we approach this area, we'll be looking for bust ups again, just like here. Okay, on GER 30, let me see. I'm not sure if you have drawings. I don't have anything, I guess. Let me check daily. Okay, I don't really have anything. Okay, fine. I'll do it real quick. Okay, on daily time frame, we know that we broke below these lows, retested it, traded lower, so that's a massive support and resistance. That's it. Okay. Next, we've got the support and resistance around this area. Yeah, this is entire zone here, which we can clearly see. Here we go. Okay, so resistance, support again. So which would be around 12K.5. That's it. Okay, let me check weekly time frame. It would look better. Okay, can't really add much for now. The next one would be around here, around 11K.5. And yeah, that's basically it. We have the same bearish channel we saw on US 500, which would be obviously this one here. Here we go. Let's make it in brown. Copy paste real quick. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, we might still, if we break this one lower, we might still test the lower bound of the channel before we trade higher, or of course we might even have a wedge pattern, so it would be like this, and here we go. Okay, so anyway, we can't really know for now. Let's keep it as is. For the board to take over, here we are looking for bust stops already. If you go lower, we've got a short-term channel, which we can see here. That price also rejected previously, just like US 500 and so on. I guess it's a falling broadening wedge. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so for now, I'll be waiting for this swing to become bigger, for it to be a major one. In this case, it would also be like the right shoulder of this inverse head and shoulders. So that's it. Where is it? I guess it's here. Yeah, arc. And here we go. In this case, if we get this movement and a break above this entire zone, which would be the neckline covering the entire structure, which would be also breaking above the 13K. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Okay, it will break above this head and shoulders, this channel here, upper trend line, and also the 13K. This would signal that the buyers are taking over here to start the correction. We are looking for bust stops in the first place because we've got this demand zone, which we can see here. That here we go. Here's our entire demand zone. So yeah, that's it. Meanwhile, of course, until this happens, until you have this break above it, let me put my alert anyway here. Okay, until you have this break above it, would be bearish, and you can still make a lower high. In this case, price would be respecting this channel, and in this case, this would be our last major high. Okay, that will be waiting for a break above, or we'll keep on trading lower and lower to test the lower bound, which I showed you from daily time frame, if we have a daily or weekly candle close below the 12.5K. So that would be it for the indices. No, yeah, we've still got Bank Nifty. Let me check the comments real quick before I go over. Okay, let me check one. But on Euro GBP or yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure, Aaron, what you mean, Euro JPY or Euro GBP. Right? So I guess on Euro JPY, right? Anyway, let me know. Shiam, thank you so much. SK, yes. If you have any questions, let me know. I can't really understand what you mean by points. I'm short. Okay, AUS 200. I'll go over it quickly because we still got the crypto ones. Okay, business and beyond. What is the high low indicator you use? It's basically, as you can clearly see here, it's called HTL, which helps me make objective analysis. Okay, so like I use these dots to draw my support and resistance and trend lines and so on. Okay, so like to help me identify objective swings, and I use these objective swings to find rule-based rule-based patterns analysis and so on. Okay, you can check the website at the bottom of the screen. Okay, you can check the website htl.com. Let me check AUS 200 real quick before I move forward to before that I'm going to go over Bank Nifty for Indian traders, and then I'll go over AUS. Okay, so Bank Nifty, we are obviously just like US 500 trading inside this big channel. Let me turn on my camera for now. Okay, so we are bearish trading inside this big channel around the support area, which is in fact a massive support. We can clearly see multiple rejections previously from it, broken upward, support again and again and again. But from a long-term perspective, for the bulls to take over, I would like to see this and then a break above it. Okay, so which would be also a break above these highs. In this case, the bulls will take over, and we can expect further movement upward. It would be like a big impulse movement, a correction, following by like the projection. Oops, the projection, which would be here. Okay. Anyway, for now, let me delete that. Daily time frame, we had a faster channel inside this channel. We're waiting for the bulls to take over by breaking above this high and above the trend line. So now the bulls clearly took over from a medium-term perspective, because we are still inside this big channel from a long-term perspective. Now, if we test this area again, obviously we'll be looking for a buy, and as we approach this upper bound, we'll be looking for a trend following sell. So long story short, if we trade lower, I'd be looking for this buy, or if we trade higher, I'd be looking for this sell. Then I would like to see this. Then, as I showed you from weekly time frame, when this happens, we will be buying this one after this break. Okay. Now let's go over the last index, which is you're more than welcome. Okay, AUS 200. Hello, Joya, right? GBP CAD, just like EuroCAD, if you watched it previously, around a massive support zone, also from weekly time frame, looking for buy setups. Okay. A lot of I'm not really sure what Asante Sana means, so hopefully you can translate it to English, please. Okay, so GBP CAD, we are around the support area. We are looking for buy setups, waiting for the bulls to take. Anyway, let me show it to you real quick. GBP CAD. Okay, so we are around, okay, not this one, GBP CAD, and here we go. Okay, around this massive support zone. Okay, from like monthly time frame, even multiple rejections from. Of course, we can still trade a little bit lower to test this lower bound, which is also around number 1.5, which is clearly a massive one. Here we go. Okay, so we can still dive inside, but for now, this is a support area. We are looking for buy setups. Of course, from a long-term perspective, we are bearish, lower lows and lower highs. So for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break. We have a channel here, which we can see, but I guess I have it from H4. We need to see a break above this channel. For now, here we go. This is our channel from H4. For now, we are approaching this lower support zone, like lower band and so on. So we are looking for buy setups, and that's it. Okay, so waiting for this and then a break above it, and yeah, that's basically it. Of course, from a short-term perspective, this is the last low here. Okay, so short term we'll be expecting this, and then this would be it. Now let me go over the last index before we go over crypto, because we still got a big list. Hadi, hope you're doing good. Cheers, mate. I'm happy to see you here. Okay, we've got Aaron, US 200, like this would be it. Okay, no more indices and forex pairs, because yeah, US 200. I'm not really sure which one, but let's go for this one. Okay, because as you can clearly see, we still got like, I want to go over, okay, not this, yeah, this one. Okay, because we still got total Bitcoin and so on. So I want to go over at least these like 6 ones, okay, to feel the overall market when it comes to crypto, before we end the session. So I'm not really sure if I go for this or I go for the global prime one. You know what? I'll go for Pepperstone. Okay, I don't really have any drawing. Oops, we don't have enough data here. I'll check now from, you know what? I'll check global prime. Okay, fantastic. I have drawings. Okay, so we've got this support and resistance, right? Broken downward, now a resistance. And our next support would be around this area, starting from this area, which is obviously a massive 6K demand zone and so on. So let me draw an offset for it, which would be around 6 to 5. Yeah, here we go. Okay, let's go for blue for this one because we've got green down there. So now we broke the support. We are now bearish, obviously from lower time frames. Okay, it's like this was the previous drawings. Let me delete this one. Fantastic. Okay, we are currently as we approach this area, we'll be looking for a buy. For now, we'll be looking for a trend following sell, which we can see better from H4 time frame. That's it. Here we go, showing us the overall flow. It is like a falling broadening wedge. Here we go. Okay, and like when we have a falling broadening wedge, the bigger the impulse, the bigger the correction, right? A bigger impulse, a bigger correction, a bigger impulse. We're expecting a bigger correction before we might see one more big impulse, or it might result with a lower low. It might result with a like this, or like even a higher low before we finally the bulls take over by breaking above this one, which is showing us the overall flow, which is clearly bearish now, especially after breaking below this support zone. So long story short, on AUS 200, we are bearish. Okay, let me see on lower time frames, H1. Honestly, I can't really add much. We are stuck inside this range. You can just like draw a channel for the range like this, for example, and we might trade like this, right? Trade lower for one more impulse movement. So because it was an impulse, a massive correction, before we see this, in this case here, we'll be looking for a buy. We also got a demand zone here. So for now, I can't really add much for AUS 200. As we approach this area, we'll be looking for a sell. As we approach this area, we'll be looking for a buy. That's it. Let's move forward to our crypto instruments. I'll check the comments one last time before I dive into total Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. Okay, Buffo, hope you're doing good. Ask why support resistance marked 12K, 1250, for example, on US 30. you mark them like that and not 12,523. Because clearly the 1250, 12,500 is a round number. First of all, because it looks better on the chart. Second, because like people tend to put their limit orders, stop orders, take profit orders around like round numbers. Third, like no matter like if I have a 12,500 or 12,523, it doesn't really matter. It's an entire zone. Okay, so as price approaches this zone, we'll be looking for setups. We don't buy blindly. Okay, so that's it. Can you show gold ranges on lower time frame if possible? Yeah, we previously went over gold. But you know what? I'll go over it really quick before we go over crypto instruments, because like to keep the session short. Okay, so on gold, overall bearish. Okay, this is our resistance area that we need the buyers to break above. Or meanwhile, we are bearish and we're expecting a movement to the 1700, where we'll be looking for buy setups. Okay, this is from lower time frames. This is the previous high. We're expecting lower highs and lower lows unless the buyers take over by breaking above this area. In this case, we'll be expecting this. Okay, that's it for gold. Now I'll click on X for this one. No more Forex pairs, no more indices. Let's go for crypto instruments. On total, we've got this massive demand zone. We are still filling this demand, but things are not looking great, as you can clearly see. It seems like we don't really have buying pressure here, because usually when we have a demand, when price retested, we'll see immediate movement upward, which didn't happen. Instead, price stuck inside the range here, which means that this demand over time is getting weaker and weaker. Of course, for the bears to take over, we need to see a break below the 800 billion, okay, which would be the lower bound of it. That's it. Let's make an offset for it. This is it. If we break below this lower bound, then we can expect one more bearish movement, one more leg down on total. Here we go. If we break below this area, then we'll be expecting to see 500 billion around this zone, okay, which would also be lining up with the lower bound of the channel, okay, or like if something crazy happens now and we break above the zone and the 1 trillion, then of course the bulls would take over from here. Okay, like this is the one that I showed you, that I'm waiting for a retest to look for a sell, or for it to break, which didn't happen. Instead, we went lower. Okay, so clearly bears took over here, bulls took over here, now bears took over here, which you can see better from M30. That's it. And we can see the exact same scenario on Bitcoin. And like for those who like, I'm posting daily updates for Bitcoin. So now we got day to 25, and like hopefully today I'll make a video, right? And like I will add like all the previous 25 trades in a row, so you can watch it like one big video, and like you can see it like in a practical manner, what I did day after day. So you can watch, for example, day 25, day 24, day 23, and so on. Okay, so like this is it. We're expecting this break below this low for the bears to take over, and previously we were looking for buy setups here. Here we go. We're waiting for this. It happened here, and then we're waiting for this. You can see it happened here, and now we're waiting for this zone, which price is already inside it. Okay, so if you want, like this is my handle on TradingView, the signalist. You can also follow me on Telegram because I forward it there, like to know that I posted new content. Of course, like this video to help it reach more traders. Okay, so total, the exact opposite of it would be USDT dominance. Like obviously, like these two, total and USD dominance, will help us feel the market. Of course, also Bitcoin, but like I always keep an eye on total, because it is including Bitcoin and like the entire market, all the altcoins. Okay, so That's it. Now we've got this low lining up with this high. Here we go. Okay, so for the bears to take over here, we need to see a break below it, which would be the bulls taking over for Bitcoin and so on, right? So that's basically it. Here we go. We are trading inside this rising, broadening wedge. Let me delete this one. And okay, give me a minute to check. Okay, that's it. Okay, so now we've got this high here that for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above it. In this case, a movement further upward will be expected, which wouldn't be good. If we see this break, in this case, a movement like this would be expected till the upper area of the rising broadening wedge, which is clearly here. You can even make it touch this one to make it, here we go. Okay, so of course, unless we break below this, okay, then we can expect a movement downward to the lower band, which is 5% lower blue trend line and so on. The exact opposite for Bitcoin. And like, if you want to check my view from a long-term perspective, I already posted this one, BTC USD. You can search for it. If you scroll down, you can see a picture analysis which is posted on 28 June. Okay, so I'll go over this one instead of like going over this. You know what? I'll try to find the one that I did it on. I guess it's Rich 5 or Rich 3. I guess this is where I did it. Here we go. Fantastic. Okay, so this is it. We're expecting this movement, and then if we break below it, then we're expecting this. If you click on play, you can see it. Here we go. So we went lower, went higher, now we are going lower. If we break below this, then a movement low would be expected till this. They explain it why. We can see that Bitcoin is moving in 3 cycles. The first one is this one, right? Second, third, resulting in a last drop before the bulls take over to start what? To simply start a correction. Okay, so we're applying the same logic of this one now. Okay, so the first one done, the second one done. Okay, the third one, we are still here, and here we go. Okay, we are following this for now. If we break it lower, just like this, okay, we'll be expecting further movement downward. Let me make it higher a little bit. Here we go. Okay, and the confirmation that the bears are taking over is simply a momentum which marked by red arrows. Okay, lower. If we see this now, a big daily candle close below the zone, then we'll be expecting what? This movement. Okay, this movement, and then what? This correction. Okay, next, okay, we're applying the same logic. We applied on the short-term lines, trend lines, to the big one. Okay, so first phase, which is what? The first phase. Okay, second phase, which is now the second phase. Okay, when this one is done, we will enter the third phase, which would be here. Okay, so once we see this, we'll be expecting one more bearish movement, which would be what? The last bearish movement, to form a new high here, finally break it upward, to finally say that, yeah, now we are bullish from a long-term perspective. Okay, so that's basically it. Anyway, let's focus on it from a short-term, step by step. X, let's go here to live. Kilowa, hope you're doing good. How to unlock your swing high-low indicators, RichTL. You can find it there on the website, richtl.com. Ready? Yes, exactly. It's called Elliott waves, of course, impulse correction. Yeah. Total 5 waves. Yeah, I just showed you like the exact like previous analysis, which like the previous like cycle, if you want to call it, which is this one, right? So here we go, following the same logic, and then let's see how it goes. But yeah, exactly, guys, as you mentioned. Now let's go over Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then I'll go over a specific one that you want me to go over, because I can't really like go over the entire crypto market. Like we've got like 10k coins. So if you want to go over a specific coin token, let me know in the comments. So on Bitcoin, we've got this one, which I showed you previously. These are the range now, price trading here. We were looking for a sell set up here, and then this would be the lower bound. I have my alerts right there extended to know that when this one is breaking downward or to know when it's broken upward. Let's remove it for now. Here we go. If you go lower to H4 time frame, we are currently trading inside this rising channel. If we break it lower, then a movement that would be expected, but we are still trading the range. We are still expecting a movement upward, of course, with extra confirmation, unless we finally break it lower. Then I showed you like what to expect from higher time frames. If you zoom lower, that's it. To M30, the bears took over previously here after this head and shoulders. Then the buyers took over here after breaking this range. Then now, as I showed you from my analysis previously, that we were looking for this one, and we are currently trading lower. Now we are sitting around the 20k zone, the lower bound. So we'll be waiting for the bulls to take over. For example, we've got this trend line now, channel as well, engulfing the overall movement. So if we break it upward and above this high, then we can expect further movement upward. Meanwhile, we can still break this one downward. In this case, a movement here would be expected till the lower bound. Of course, we'll be looking, unless it's broken downward, then we'll follow the long-term plan. That's it. Of course, like for those who traded on margin, a sell could have been answered here, stop loss here, and the 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. Let's go to Ethereum, the exact same logic. Bulls took over, bears took over around the upper bound, and now the exact same logic. Bears took over here after this candle closed below it. If you go to weekly time frame, I can't really add much. We are currently trading inside this big channel, and we are currently around the 1K, which is a massive, what is it? Yeah, which is a massive round number. However, it's not a strong support because it's just a round number 1K. It's a big round number, a massive one. But unlike Bitcoin, which you can see here, lining up with the previous all-time high of 2018, on Ethereum, like it already broke this previous all-time high. And before I go over Ethereum, I want to show you one more thing. If you go and compare this one, right, the bearish movement on 2018, if you go to measure and you measure it from the top to the low, right, we've got like around 85%. Okay, if you go now and you check it from the top to the low, well, only around 73%. So if we want to go as low as we went previously to 85%, it would be where? Here we go. Okay, exactly around this demand, around the 10k demand zone, the 10k round number, which is also a demand zone, which is also a support zone, resistance, support, resistance, resistance, broken upward, now support, which is also the lower trend line in green. Okay, so this would be a massive zone in this case, lining up with the minus 84.5% from the top. Okay, so this is it. This is how you feel, like what to expect, where the price would be oversold, and so on, and especially if you compare it to the previous price action. And yeah, that's basically it. Now, if you go to Ethereum, also if you check the previous one, like minus 95% if you want. If you go and check it out now, all-time high 77. So 95 would be, or 90 around this area, which is also what the low support and 500 round number, and this support and resistance here, resistance, support, resistance again and again. So this zone here around 500, 450. Okay, if we see this. Meanwhile, for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above it. Here we go. This is our range. Oops, we've got many drawings here already. and here we go. Okay, bearish took over. We are now bearish. I got my alert here already. Let me remove it and put it a little bit lower now, since the stock price is already here. So if you trade lower till here, I'll be looking for a buy. Of course, we'll be trading the range no matter what. We can't really know what will happen next. We are just risk managers trying to put the odds in our favor. So I'll be trading the range upward, downward, upward, downward, until eventually, because like nothing can trade in the range forever, until eventually it will break the range downward or upward, and the downward or the bearish continuation is most probable, as mentioned previously. But we can't really know. Okay, if we trade lower here, I'll follow the exact same logic. I'll be waiting for a new swing high, and then we'll be looking for a buy on its break upwards. Okay, that's it. I'll go. Yeah, let's go to XRP, and this would be it. I can go over like many, like Casey asked, like dots. Okay, I'm still waiting for the trigger on dot, which hasn't happened, obviously. I'm on GMT. I'm waiting for a break above this. Didn't happen. Ape, waiting for a break. Link, I'll go waiting for a break, right? So you can apply the same logic which we saw previously. Of course, I can't really go over them all because like this session is like already like 1 hour 30 minutes long. But I'll go over XRP. If you'd like me to go over a specific altcoin, let me know in the comments, and I would be happy to do it. Okay, let me take a break by answering a question. Bafo, one last question based on your experience. Is it true that these indices are 80% fundamental, 20% technical? Yes and no. I'm not the right person to answer this one, because I'm a pure price action trader. I believe that like all the fundamentals will like finally translate into the price. So the price action will show you the true value of a specific instrument. Okay, so I don't really care why like this candle happened. What I care about is it happened. What to do now? Okay, so I don't like what I hear. I like what I see. Okay, but again and again, it depends on you, on what suits you best, on what makes sense to you. But like to me, I don't really care about the fundamentals. I want to focus on the chart, just chart itself. Let me go over XRP. If you want to go over a specific coin, let me know. If not, this would be it. On weekly time frame, you can see that XRP has been overall bearish. We've got our first impulse correction. We are currently here. To have a long-term bullish reversal, we need to see a new swing high to form here, because we've got a support and resistance now acting as a resistance. So we'll be expecting this movement, and this way we'll have a new high here. In this case, this would be our last high, and then when it's broken upward, it would break above the resistance, above the channel, and now we'll be expecting a bullish long-term movement. For now, we are bearish, obviously. Every bullish movement would be a correction. Every bullish movement would be a correction, okay? So when we trade higher, for those who trade on margin, can look for a sell here. And as we trade lower, starting from now, starting from here, I'll be looking for a buy. That's why I have multiple alerts here, as if you can see it. As we trade lower, I'll be looking for a buy, which is also this demand, which is also a support and resistance, right? Multiple rejections from it. So, of course, I'll be looking for buy stops here to catch this correction, and then we'll be looking for a sell here. If you go lower, that's the view from H4. We are currently bearish, trading inside this channel. As we trade lower, it will be the intersection of the red one, the demand zone, and so on. We'll be looking for a buy from a short-term perspective, and then a buy from a medium-term perspective, and then a sell from a short-term perspective, a medium-term perspective, then a buy from a medium-term perspective, then finally a buy from a long-term perspective. Okay, so this is what I'm waiting for on XRP. Okay, I'm trading the range, which is the horizontal one, 0.2 and 0.5, and the falling one, which is lining up also with the horizontal range. That's basically it for, you know what, I'll keep this ones like for the reference for next time. Okay. And yeah, okay, so this would be it. We went over plenty of forex pairs, indices, and also crypto market. Now you know what to expect. You got a feeling about the entire market. If you have any questions, let me know and I will be happy to answer it. And of course, don't forget to like this video to help Trading Nut channel grow. And hopefully I will see you next month. Best of luck. See you soon.